Reijnders involved in both of them. The first was a scoop pass by Reijnders, Lewis helping it across the face of the goal, Haaland tapping it over the line. And then the second goal, just a few moments later, brilliantly won by Bob on halfway. He drove forward, laid it into the path of Reijnders. Reijnders put it first time into the corner of the net. There were a couple of scares. Wolves did have the ball in the City net, but Munetsi was in an offside position. But at half-time on the opening day of the new Premier League season, so far so good for the Blues. It's Wolves 0, City 2. Well, let's go back to the studio where we've got Kennedy, Paul Dickov and Natalie.
Welcome back to Match Day Live, where City lead at half-time 2-0, 2 goals in 4 minutes to stun Wolves. A perfect start to the new season. Happy new season to everybody, as I keep saying all day long. Still joined in the studio by Paul Dickov and by Mark Kennedy, who both predicted 3 and 4-0 victories. So you are both on target just now. Paul, give us your assessment of that first half.
I thought City started really well. First 5-10 minutes, kept the ball really sharp. But then just struggled to break Wolves down. You know, they were 5-4-1. Not a lot of spaces for City to play in behind or to play in the pockets. And to be fair to Wolves, they had a few chances and caused us a lot of problems in the break. But, you know, we got the goals at the right time, which was fantastic. But yeah, impressive.
It does feel like, Mark, perhaps at 34 minutes, the Wolves fans might have been like, yeah, this is going all right. We're doing all right here. And then, obviously, Premier League football hits you smack in the face with 2 goals in 4 minutes for City.
Yeah, but it's hard. If I was playing for Wolves, that's a tough half, and it looks comfortable. I thought structurally they looked really good, really disciplined. The distance between units was really impressive. But when I look at City in the first half, they've made 3 pocket runs, and from it they've had 3 chances. They've scored 2 goals. The first one, where they didn't get a goal, was when Silva got into the inside channel, gets down, crosses for Haaland. And I think that's where City's success comes from. And when I think of City, that's what I think. I think balls out wide, pocket runs, crosses, goals.
Explain a pocket run for anyone that doesn't know.
Sorry, so if you split the pitch into 5 lanes across the pitch, it'd be the 2 inside lanes. So you got wingers on the outside, the inside lane. Ball, City to me, ball's always outside, inside lane, pocket run, in between full backs or centre halves. Wolves playing 5 at the back, so wing back and outside centre halves. But they've done that 3 times. They've scored 2 goals and Haaland's headed one over the bar. And that's how I see, in my head, a Man City goal, a typical DNA identity. And I think City have been absolutely brilliant, and the counter-pressing's phenomenal. But I agree with Paul in terms of out of possession, really high line. I think you've said it, so I don't want to steal your thunder. I think if they were playing against a better side, they might have conceded a goal.
Yeah, there was a few moments, there was a few nervous moments in the middle of that half as well. Wolves did have the ball in the back of the net at one point, but it was definitely offside, Paul. In terms of those offsides, Wolves had 4 offsides in that first half. Is that poor attacking from Wolves? Has he not held his line good enough, or is it good defending? Because certainly on one of them, City's line was sharp.
If you're going to play a high line, you are going to be susceptible to conceding chances. But you're saying there, they're offside 4 times, so there's a lot. They're doing a lot of things right there. You know, and the offsides, they weren't from like the middle third, they're on the box, you know. So they're obviously worked in keeping a high line. They're obviously worked in playing that offside, and they weren't close. That wasn't like we were thinking, oh, that was close, it was going to VAR. They were 2 yards offside in them all. But there was a 10-minute spell where I just felt Wolves became more comfortable, as in confident and grown into the game. But then once the first goal goes in, it knocked the stuffing out of them, and you know, City are fantastic at doing what they do.
So that first goal came for Erling Haaland. Pocket run, Reijnders to Lewis. Reijnders' little ball over the top to Rico Lewis, who ran in with a lovely cross. And I'd already started cheering before the ball had got to Erling Haaland, I have to be honest, because you just knew that that ball was going nowhere but into the back of the net. It was a lovely move, Paul.
It was, and you know, they won the ball. Matt's talking about the counter press. They won the ball back high up the pitch. They've brought Reijnders up. Beautiful, great feet beforehand to get past the 2 midfielders. Then a lovely little dink over the top, and the pocket run is going to be the word of the day.
Sorry.
But no, you've got to have it. And you know, it's Rico. He's the right back that's doing it there. You know, so it shows you the position they're getting into. And I thought Rico done brilliant there, because it's so easy, especially a full back in that area, to lash the ball. Or I personally would have had a shot probably from that angle. But great ball across, and the big man's in the right place at the right time again. Great goal, and much needed at the time actually.
Talk to me about Rico Lewis, tactically where he's been playing in that game, Mark, because obviously we're here there, he's on the team sheet as a right-back. He is bang in the middle of the pitch there, receiving a ball and assisting for a goal. Where is he? Explain to us.
To be fair, it's quite difficult watching City when they play. They're so fluid. At times he's playing out of possession. They try and have a back four as much as can. He plays right back. In possession, he's made a 2 with Nico in midfield, and then at other times he's played as a high 10. I mean, it's really hard. It's particularly when you're watching on telly, and that must be horrible to play against when they've got this fluidity. But the one thing you can see is the shape is constant throughout the team, just by different players. But I think technically he's a very, very good player. I remember watching him last year, and I think he picks up really intelligent. I wouldn't like to play against him, and he's the type of player that even when he's not on the ball, it'll cause you problems. But what he has done, he's made good runs in behind, and the key to it is you can get clever players in the centres who make good runs, but there's nothing at the end. So I'm quite critical of Doku. I find there's nothing at the end of his work. But when I look at Lewis today, he's got end product intelligence, as Paul says. People can slash at that. It's a tough technique, and I think himself and Oscar Bob have been real standout players.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes when I'm watching the game, I think, where's Rico Lewis now? And it's like a game to find out where he is on the pitch, because he's just so fluid.
And for the manager to allow him to do that at such a young age, there's no bigger compliment. It's not an accident. He hasn't got a free role. The manager hasn't said, just go out, get on the ball, you're a talented boy. There'll be a real deep detail in what they're doing and clarity behind what they're doing. And there's no bigger compliment to give that. I see Bernardo do it quite a lot, which is phenomenal. But to have that licence and that autonomy to go and do that is a huge compliment.
Before we go on to talk about Oscar Bob, because we need to talk about Oscar Bob, just in terms of Erling Haaland, he tapped that goal in there, Paul. I love it when Erling Haaland gets a tap in, because the amount of criticism he gets for, he's had this many touches, 8 touches in a game. His job is to score goals. He's in the right place, and there's absolutely no way that is going anywhere but in the back of the net.
We've spoken at this before. It genuinely doesn't bother him if he's involved in the build-up play or not. He doesn't care. People say he's getting frustrated and this, that and the other thing. He's not bothered, because he knows if he gets in the right position in the box, 9 times out of 10 he's going to score. He was unlucky with the one Mark was talking about before, with the little dink from Bernardo Silva, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Silva,
just a little bit above him, but he's there in between the goals in the 6-yard box again. And if you watch him when all the build-up plays going on, it doesn't look interested sometimes. But as soon as the ball gets into the last third, he will be between the goals, because he knows at some point it's either going to drop there, or the quality we've got in the team, he's going to get a chance from it.
He can tap in a goal a game, as far as I care, Paul.
Yeah.
As far as I care, not bothered. And you mentioned the crosswide Bernardo and his header that just went over. Often I feel like you find with him, Mark, he's frustrated with himself when he doesn't score, and so the next opportunity he gets, he's having it.
Yeah, look, it's high demand on yourself, standards, where you are, where you see the game. But I think a huge skill, and when I think of, I'm a golf fan, I look at Tiger Woods, as good as he was, one of his biggest strengths was putting bad shots behind him. And I see with Haaland, when he makes a mistake, he's got a clear ability to forget about it and put the next one in the back of the net. And ironically, the opposite of that is when City scored, if I'm a Wolves player or coach, I'm thinking for the next 5 minutes, please be structured, please be disciplined. And it's the opposite of what we're saying about Haaland, where he can forget about something. And I think Wolves were still perhaps feeling sorry themselves and not connected with the game before you know it. I don't want to say because the next goal is huge, but the game's almost over. It's not. But at 2-0, do you see Wolves coming back and scoring 3 goals? In a normal world, I would say no. I'll be careful what I say beforehand.
They've done it to us before, I think, Mark. I feel like I've just had a flashback of when they were doing that to us before.
We ended up going down to 10 men in that game, I think, wasn't it?
We did. Yeah. Did Edison get sent off?
I think he did, and there was another game there that got sent off.
Okay.
I'll shut up.
Yes, thanks, Mark.
No,
remind me of that. No, thank you. Before we talk about the second goal, because obviously we're going to coup over Oscar Bob, there was a moment while it was still 0-0 and Oscar Bob picked up the ball in the box and it glued to his feet, and he took it this way and he took it that way, and we were all cooing. And that was the moment, Paul, when I was like, yes, this is what we've been waiting for.
It is. It's what we've all been waiting for. Not just that moment. I think he's been outstanding throughout the half. Not just his football intelligence, when to keep the ball, when to knock it off one touch and move. He's not always looking to get the ball to feet. He's threatened him behind a couple of times. He's still not quite got it. And for the left wing back, it must be a nightmare for him, because the ball sticks to his feet. Technically, he's so good, and his football intelligence is very, very high. So. It's great. It's just great to see him back in the pitch, but performing the way he is at the minute as well.
So let's talk about that second goal. So give credit to the gents in the studio here. A couple of times they both said Wolves are going to get pinched at them, or Wolves are going to lose it at some point in the way that they were playing out there from the back. And they did indeed. They lost the ball in the middle of the park. It was picked up by Oscar Bob, who just ran forward. And we could see Reijnders is on the left, Haaland is on the right as well. And we're wondering what ball he's going to play. And he dinked it off to Tijjani Reijnders with he struck it immediately right into the bottom right-hand corner with a brilliant finish. I was cooing over that. I mean, and like you said, it was 4 minutes later, Mark. It was just brilliant timing. What did you make of the goal?
From a Wolves perspective, really poor. It's, City have counter-pressed really, really well, but it's an unforced error by the Wolves player under no pressure, so to be disappointed with that. What I was really impressed with when City were going from the centre through the middle, they kept the 3v2. Normally, when you've got a 3v2, somebody will always make an overlap. But the intelligence is, when I'm the central player, I don't need to overlap, because if I'm in the centre and you're in the left to the right, we've got a 3v2. We don't need it. And I thought the relationship between the wide men, you see a lot of wide men go wide, and you're not breaking out. They stay connected with the two defenders, which because I actually thought the ball was a bit short, which made his mind up to finish, but it was a brilliant finish. I think the goalie will be disappointed. Is that really harsh?
No, I agree. I said at the time the goalie, but it was a great goal. What Mark's
nicking all your lines here.
No, not at all.
He's the star of the show.
The 3v2, people say it must be easy. You're professional footballers. How many times you do that in training?
Constant.
Repetitively.
Yeah.
And how many goals do you see? Not a lot.
No.
You know, so it's making the right pass, making the right run, and the timing's everything, isn't it? I think if you're the Wolves manager, you're going to go mad at your defender and saying 1-0, keep it tight, give the ball away, but then you give the ball away like that against good players, you're going to score goals. And I think Oscar's slightly underhit the ball to Reijnders, which has actually helped him on his bad foot. He's put it in the corner. We all know, we've seen pre-season, we've seen him at Milan last season, that he loves getting forward and he loves getting into that position and scoring goals. I'm not complaining, but I look at Jose Sa and the Wolves goal, and I think he could have done slightly better. So, but I'm glad he didn't.
Me too. What a debut from Tijjani Reijnders. We've been asking you in our YouTube comments. We're running a poll. Who has been the best player on the pitch so far for City? And you have been voting, and Tijjani Reijnders is winning with 57% of the vote so far. I mean, that is a serious debut from him as well. By the way, it takes a lot to beat Haaland in a poll whenever we run any single poll whatsoever. And Tijjani Reijnders is doing that there. Also, shout out if you've got him in your fantasy football team. Ooh, of course I have. A lot of people commenting in the YouTube as well. I want to know your thoughts on this, Mark. Lots of comments on YouTube from people saying Reijnders is a perfect KDB replacement. What do you make of that?
That's a big shout out after one game, one half.
Yeah.
45 minutes, not even a game, yeah?
I think he's super impressive, and, you know, Dick, you talked about before the game, with you having the ability to score goals from midfield, there's no monetary value you can put on that. De Bruyne is generational talent, proven serial trophy winner, so I can absolutely see comparisons in that regard, but
I think we'll let him have a bit more time to settle in before we start putting the pressure on him with KDB. I think they're different types of players.
Yeah.
I think, you know, people will watch that half and think he's had a fantastic little chip to assist for the goal.
That was technically, you know, to do that.
And then he's obviously got his goal with his wrong foot. Kev could score with both feet as well, and maybe that's where the comparisons are coming from. But he's more. I was going to say it before the game, but I didn't want to put more pressure on him. It reminds me a little bit at the minute of a young Frank Lampard, where he sits in there, he can go box to box, he can win the ball back, but he's got that great knack of making that run in behind and great timing as well, and he can finish with both feet.
That's some serious comparisons so far. YouTube, calm down, breathe. Let's let him settle in. Let's not put that on him. But incredible first 45 minutes for him. Also, James Trafford, I think, had a stellar opening 45 minutes there. Couple of big saves, one at 0-0 as well. Mark, great first 45 minutes for him. Yeah,
he's another who stood out for me. And when you look at the stats, ironic, statistically from an XG point of view, it should be 2-0. I think Wolves' XG is 0.17, but actually I think Traff's looked really quick, really bright, really lively. He undoubtedly will have been nervous, but he's looked to me like a player who's had... Yeah, he's quick off. He's looked to me like he's been playing in goal for City's first team for years and years. A really mature performance. And I think he's actually made himself stand out in the game.
Yeah, he has, but he's been so quick off his line. And even, I know it was offside, but the save he makes,
brilliant.
The guy's offside, he's out so quick to block it as well. And he's looked I think the biggest compliment we can say for his Premier League debut for his boyhood club is he's looked comfortable.
Yeah, he's made it.
He's not been phased at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Thank you very much, Paul Dickov. Thank you very much, Mark Kennedy. Paul and Mark will be with me at full time as well. You can see there are the players coming back out. There he is, Tijjani Reijnders. Will he still be the best player on the pitch come 90 minutes? You can vote on YouTube. I'll keep my fingers crossed. Big second half for City coming up. Let's get that all-important opening day win. We'll see you at full time, Blues.
Yeah, welcome back to Molyneux. The players are out for the second half. A nice statistic for you. Erling Haaland has scored for the first game of the season in a row since he joined from Borussia Dortmund. He scored his first Premier League goal at West Ham on the opening day of the season 22-23, scored against Burnley on the opening Premier League game of 23-24, scored against Chelsea on the opening day of the 24-25 season, and now has scored on the opening day against Wolves. And of course the other 3 games, City won all 3 without conceding.